Surviving the ride in the haunted hall, the Kongs find themselves back in the forest. This time around, it's a little different. The air is colder, the wind fiercer, the ground less stable. But more than that, there's a chill that goes beyond the skin, a sense of sorrow and loss that can't be articulated. This is part 29 of Overthinking Donkey Kong Country 2. So that intro was a bit lame, but there's method to the madness. Keen eyes might look past the wind effects and see the level itself is a bit drier, a bit less saturated than Gusty Glade. Combine that with the aforementioned wind and the actual level layout, and a picture starts to form. We'll get into it later, but for now, I want to say that unlike a lot of what we discuss in this series, I feel like this change is very much a deliberate stylistic choice by the developers. And while it might not mean much in isolation, in the greater context of Gloomy Gulch, I believe it says a lot. Gusty Glade might not seem that special at face value, but it needs to be seen as the middle piece of a triptych between Ghostly Grove and Webb Woods. We'll touch on Webb Woods when the time comes, but the juxtaposition between Ghostly Grove and Gusty Glade immediately highlights what I'm getting at. Same color palette, but as I mentioned before, Gusty Glade is more desaturated. It looks like it's dying. Then there's the wind. It's a bit off topic, but between the wind and the myriad of pits in this level, it makes me think that we've moved up quite a bit in altitude from Ghostly Grove. Makes sense, seeing as the general trajectory of the game from Kremke onwards is straight up the mountain. Backing this theory is something called the tree line. Simply put, the tree line is the altitude at which trees will cease to grow. The line is just that, a distinct line between trees and barren earth. It's more complicated than that, but that's the gist. One thing that marks the transition into what's called the Alpine Zone is the presence of dead or dying trees, and that's what we see in abundance here. Despite the foliage, there aren't any healthy looking trees in all of Gloomy Gulch. Even on the overworld map, nothing but dead trees. But how about the level itself? The wind of Gusty Glade is the clear star here, and it's a lot of fun. Not only is it a cool concept, but the developers made an effort to make it aesthetically consistent with the level. The brown and green leaves look like they had just been kicked up from the forest floor. The wind is used to traverse the environment, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword. It can help throw the Kongs over pits they couldn't normally jump over, but it can throw them too far, or if you mistime your jumps, not throw them far enough. Timing is crucial here. Easy to learn, hard to master. There are stretches where the wind is against you, and to survive what's coming, you've got to be precise with your jumps, either to avoid oncoming attacks or to make the most of the dead air. As usual, the level soft launches the concept before throwing you into the more meaty challenges. Curious players might find Ratley behind the starting gate, and while he makes a lot of the more dicey jumps a bit easier, his last jump always screws me, so like the wind itself, he's a bit of a double-edged sword. But still, it's always fun to see Ratley. Did you know Ratley can bounce on the spinies? 'Cause I didn't. I feel like this world is relatively unremarkable. I touched on this in the Ghostly Grove episode, and while my appreciation for Gloomy Gulch has definitely grown as I have, there's still something about it that makes me feel like it's a bit more introverted, for lack of a better word. Sitting in the shadows while the more boisterous worlds take the spotlight. That's all just to say that in spite of everything, Gloomy Gulch might be one of the tightest collections of levels in all the DKC trilogy. Level themes are consistent, gameplay is economic and tight, while there's no shortage of imagination and creativity on display. Even in the next level, Parachute Panic, it jackknifes off the beaten path, but does so in a way that doesn't feel out of place in the bigger picture. I don't know what I'm getting at. I just love this game so much, and despite writing literally thousands of words for this series, I don't think I'm doing the game justice at all. Until next time, take care.